anticipated price increases?
Well, more or less here in Rivieri, what we do is every 3 to 4 sales, we increase the prices. Okay. And also one thing that I want to mention is that the investment, when you choose pre-construction, you can get a lot of appreciation, and you don't even have to put all the money in.
Right.
So even if you start with 35%, and then during the construction, your potential is to win at 15 to 20% before it's even finished the home.
Yeah. So for example, if a unit here sells for $200,000 and your client puts 50% down, that's $100,000. But in 3 months, it went up $30,000. It's not $30,000 appreciation on $200,000 purchase. They only put $100,000 in.
Exactly.
So it's actually a 30% increase on the money that they put out. So that's incredible in terms of the economics that you can explain to your buyers.
Welcome to the Nick Fong Podcast. As the broker and owner of Ronival Real Estate, Nick has spent nearly 20 years in Baja California, sir. And in this podcast, he'll be talking everything Baja, from food and culture to real estate and property management. And now, here's your host, Nick Fong.
All right, welcome back to Coffee and Contracts. We're located today at Rivieri, and Cyril Ramos, our listing agent on the project, is going to talk about the top 5 things us as real estate agents can be doing to get more in construction and pre-construction sales. Cyril, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me here.
All right, well, to start us off, I put together a short list of 5 things. There's a lot more than 5, but I think Cyril will add additional things to the list. To start off, one of the things that I see that's really important, us as sales agents selling pre-construction, is an on-site sales team. And with all the new construction, it's about 70% of the inventory offering in our marketplace is pre-construction or in construction. So it's important to have the ingredients to achieve a sale for those type of properties to maximize our time and efforts. So why do you think, Cyril, having an on-site sales team is important?
Well, I think it's really important because sometimes you as an agent, you're going through the town and then you see a development that caught your eye or your client wants to see it. Mm-hmm. And if you go there and you have somebody there that can help you show the product or the development itself, and you can be there, it's really easy, and they can continue with their tour, and it can change the perspective of the client.
I know it's really hard working with buyers as buyer agents to set up the property tours because we need the listing agent present to show our listings. And in doing so, we don't use lock boxes, so we actually have to organize which properties they want to see and then what time, and then the travel time to get to each place. But we all know that some buyers run through a property real fast, and then when they like a property, they'll stay longer, and it screws up our schedule. And so when we have pre-construction developments and someone's here 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock, it's more flexible. So you could just roll into a project because you know someone's going to be there. And also when an agent is on site, that person is an expert on the inventory. And one of the things that Cyril told me before we started recording was that him at Rivieri, you help the sale for the agent.
Yes.
So can you give us an example of that?
Well, for example, we had an agent coming in, and her client came in, with her agent, and then she left, then came back. Mm-hmm. And we kept the communication going directly with the client.
Right.
And we helped the agent it was an outside company, and we continued with the sale all the way until we got the reservation.
Right.
So we help them resolving all the doubts, any questions that they have, and it was a good relationship between me and the other agent, and obviously the client.
when we drop off our buyers after 4 hours of touring, a lot of times they will go out on their own and look at properties and see a property for a second time. So is that what you're talking about, where a client comes back without their agent? And so working as a buyer agent with developments where you have a good relationship with the listing agent, that they're going to notify you, hey, your client just came back, you might want to follow up with them, here's what happened, right?
Exact.
All right, that's number one. Number two, is construction actually happening? And it is, there are a lot of projects. I remember Greg, who's here, was telling me he went in his ATV driving around just El Tesal, and he was amazed on how many projects are under construction. Well, under construction. There's construction materials, but there's no construction workers. And a project like Rivieri, there's construction workers here all the time.
All the time. I mean, they started the construction in January, and it's going nonstop. I mean, we're about 7 houses being currently built, about 8 duplex currently built, and it's going nonstop. And it's really nice that every time that an agent comes again, like every week, there's something new construction, new walls. So it's really nice to have somebody that is going as fast as this.
Well, it's important because as a buyer, one of the biggest doubts and concerns is whether or not the developer can build what they're selling. And seeing construction going on, construction workers, we hear a generator in the background, those are good signs as a buyer agent, and it gives your clients and you as a buyer agent confidence, right? So that's number two. Number three, find out who the developer is. And this is so important. I know in our group chat, we talk a lot about the new projects and asking our fellow agents if they know anything about the development, who the developer is, have they done any other developments, have any of our agents sold any units in the development? And Ciro, on this project, what can you say about the developer?
Well, the developer is a really well-known developer here in Cabo, and he's really active. He's really present on anything to do with the construction. He hears our suggestions, and that's really important. I mean, he has a really good track record with being here in Cabo, and that's really important. I think knowing your developer, knowing who are you working with, it's really important. And that the most important thing is for us as listing agent, transmit that to the buyer agents, because that's the most important thing. There's places that you don't even know who the developer is.
Right.
They haven't started yet. But I think the most important thing, as you mentioned, is seeing the construction going on and that it's happening.
And with this developer, they didn't need sales to start construction. And as evidenced by the model unit, this will be the model unit. When will this be completed?
Around mid-June, end of June.
So in a couple months, it'll be finished. And you talked about the developer taking suggestions. In fact, in this house and all the houses in the front row, tell everyone what the developer has done.
Well, one of the most nice things that we have here in Rivieri is that we have a beautiful view towards Land's End. And one day we were standing in the first floor and we were looking at the ocean because the wall wasn't up. So we said, you know what, there's a really good view from the first floor. And I brought the developer came with me, and we were like, I showed them where the wall was. It was really high and we couldn't see anything. And then we went to another house that didn't have the wall. And I said, well, this is gonna be a really good selling point, and it's gonna be a really good view from the first floor. So he actually considered it, and now they just started working, and they're just making like small windows in order for you to be able to see Land's End from the first floor, which is incredible. And there's not a lot of places that you have that.
Right. Number 4, the purchase process. It's great to show property and for our buyers to fall in love with the property, but if there's not a clear path for the buyer to follow that leads from taking a reservation, the contract, the contingencies, the deposit schedule, I can't tell you how frustrating it is as a buyer agent and as a buyer if you like a project, but the developer doesn't even have a sales contract. And there exists developments in our marketplace that are on the MLS where the developer does not have a sales contract. And it is something that we take a lot of pride and time and effort here on Ronival Developments to define that process. Ciro, for Rivieri, can you briefly tell us what that process is?
Sure. The process is you put a reservation. We write up the reservation. Usually it's $10,650. $650 is for the escrow opening. Then during a 7-day due diligence period, you're going to review your promise to trust contract. And after that period, the most important thing during that period is communication. So we have some cases that our client needs more time because they need to move funds or they're still in Cabo and they want to do something. So what I always tell everybody is the communication is key. So as long as we're in communication, everything can be possible, right? So once we have everything ready, review process, everybody's happy, signed everything, the first deposit is going to be 35%.
Yep.
And second deposit is going to be when obra negra is done, which means the shell of the home. And 20% when the unit is ready. So you come, you inspect, you see how it's going and everything. And 20% upon closing. The 20% on the unit finished is basically along with the closing because it's ready to start the closing process. So that's how we started doing here. Okay.
You have the the promise to trust contract already,
It's
the
already.
reservation agreement, and so if you're a buyer agent interested in Rivieri or any Ronival development, all the paperwork's ready.
No, and also there's also clients that want to ask for something else or they have certain contingencies or anything. So we have formats for that where we put any request from the client in a reservation for the developer to consider or start a little bit of negotiation towards that.
And the escrow deposit is, the escrow fee is fully refundable during the reservation period.
Correct.
That's very different from a traditional purchase. If you are the buyer and you put a deposit into escrow, there's a $650 escrow fee. That's non-refundable if it's a resale. At Ronival, we've negotiated so that the escrow company allows it to be fully refundable if our buyers or an outside agent buyer buys and puts a reservation in one of our developments and decides that they don't want to move forward. And that's really important as a buyer agent because we want to have our clients commit themselves. And in doing so, you can tell them with great confidence that no money will be charged to them if they decide to back out. So $10,650, there's some skin in the game, fully refundable upon review of the promise to trust contract. That one big change is probably increasing conversion 10 to 20%, easy with our buyers. Because when our buyers walk away from looking at a project, go back home, we probably will lose more than 50% the opportunity to sell those kind of clients. And so it's really important, the time aspect, and to get our buyers to commit themselves with a reservation agreement and a fully refundable deposit.
Oh, and also it's really important that once they are with the reservation signed, their mind shifts because they know that they have
They're in.
Yeah, exactly.
It's funny because I've heard from a number of agents that when they walk away with a reservation agreement, a buyer, or a brochure from a development, and they're at the resort, at the pool, and they're talking to other guests at the hotel, and they're saying, oh, I just bought a condo. I just bought a house. And they have something tangible, or they've actually done something like put a refundable $10,650 escrow deposit in place. It just psychologically commits themselves to it. And so us as salespeople, that's a huge tool for us to achieve more sales with pre-construction developments. Hey, thanks for being a part of the Nick Fong podcast. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast to get the latest updates. And if you're watching this on our social channels, please like and share. And if you want to be featured or you want me to talk on a certain topic, food, activities, culture, real estate in the Baja, drop a comment. The last and final one I want to talk about are price increases and the pricing history for the development. This is extremely powerful for our buyers because one of the huge benefits why you buy pre-construction is the appreciation during construction. 10%, 20%, 30%, 50%. And when you're working with a listing agent at a development, you want to paint a picture for your buyer. What was the initial prices and where are the prices now? How many pricing increases? What are the projected price increases when the unit gets completed? So with that in mind, Rivieri, what did we start off in terms of prices and where are we right now?
Well, we started below 200,000, around 170, and now we're over 215, 230,
okay,
all the way to 260. So
in how many months?
Like 3 months.
So in 3 months, it's $30,000, $40,000, like 15 to 20% increase in prices in 3 months. So if you were to say for a full year, every 3 months, you're making 15%, of course that's not going to continue through the construction, but in the very beginning, that's why you want to get into the projects earlier. And if you can tell your buyers what happened in this project, and going forward, this is also very important, what are the anticipated price increases?
Well, more or less here in Rivieri, what we do is every 3 to 4 sales, we increase the prices. Okay. And also one thing that I want to mention is that the investment, when you choose pre-construction, you can get a lot of appreciation and you don't even have to put all the money in.
Right.
So even if you start with 35% and then during the construction, you're potentially to win at 15 to 20% before it's even finished the home.
Yeah, so for example, if a unit here sells for $200,000 and your client puts 50% down, that's $100,000. But in 3 months, it went up $30,000. It's not $30,000 appreciation on $200,000 purchase. They only put $100,000 in.
Exactly.
So it's actually a 30% increase on the money that they put out. So that's incredible in terms of the economics that you can explain to your buyers.
And also getting into pre-construction, the development is not even at its full potential. You know, there's a lot of resale market that already are on their top pricing, but here you're starting basically from zero all the way until the development is finished.
And what Ciro's talking about, like here, you can get a house under $400,000, and the average house in El Tesal, I would say, is over 500. You know, especially when you start looking at communities just down the street, Ventanas, Phase 3, houses can be selling in the $800,000 to $900,000 price range. So
those ones are the best examples. I mean, we have Privanzas, Duara, all of those developments that they started in a really low price and now they're selling super high.
Quick update. So Rivieri, how many sales have we achieved so far?
We're about 60%.
60% sold of phase 1, and the delivery of the model home in a couple months.
In a couple months, and the first phase is projected to be at the end of winter, 23.
First units to be delivered at the end of this year?
Correct.
Okay.
That would include also the amenities, which is really uncommon.
So the amenities are going to go hand in hand in parallel to the first units delivered?
Correct.
All right. Any questions? Terry Stevens. Hold on 1 second. We're going to give you a mic.
Hi, as a buyer's agent, can you give us some tips? This is in regards to the construction. What type of items should we be looking at? Because I trust Ronival's developments completely, but when we're showing other developments, what do we have to look at as far as the construction to know that the builder is doing a good job? Can you have any items?
I can easily answer that one.
All right, Ciro.
So yesterday, actually, I came with another developer that he wanted to see the whole development. And the first thing that he noticed is that the construction is really clean. So that's really important for you to see once you're going through the development, that you see that the walls are clean, the houses are clean, the streets are clean. And he was really impressed. That's the first thing that he noticed. And I think that's one of the first things that you should take a look at. The construction itself, how well or organized the construction is.
It's like the equivalent of if you walk into someone's office and their desk is really messy, bunch of papers, food all over the place, really dirty. The problem with that is if your physical space is a mess, what is going on behind the scenes, right? And so that's really important, and that's a very good point.
Yeah.
Mitch, were you earlier on raising your hand on something? Okay. Clarissa, you said no? Okay. Hi. Any other? Brent Fong has a question.
So, any updates on the clubhouse and how when that's going to be completed?
Yeah, it's going to be completed with the delivery of the first units, and so by the end of the year. And Brent actually sold clients, and he personally purchased here, along with Isabel. Isabel has been selling. You just sold your fifth one now here? Fourth.
Fourth.
Fourth one. Okay. Okay. Hey, cancellations happen, right? And it was funny because we were at an event last night at Cine, and one of the Keller Williams agents came to the event. And I asked him, hey, have you sold any units in Cine? And he said, I did, but it canceled. And then I came back with the client and he wanted to buy, but the unit was $200,000 more. So it's a perfect example of our buyers and giving them true sense of urgency, not on all projects and not on all properties, but on some, we can tell that pricing story, the past, the current, and what's projected for the future. I was just on a live recording with Cabo Mil with the developer of Cine, and we're going to be launching a new project, and the same thing. It's like a new project, new phase, new inventory when it comes to the market. Those are great opportunities for our buyers that want more equity appreciation.
Yeah, and I think also you have to, if you show the project to one of your clients at the very beginning, show them how the progress is going. Mm-hmm. So they know that when you show them, you're trustworthy of what you're saying, right, that the developer or the development is really good.
Another thing that's super powerful is the testimonial. And what I mean by that specifically is when you can tell your clients, oh, my client yesterday, last week, last month purchased in here. And you can tell them not their name, but their where they're from, what they do, how often they've been coming to the area, how long you were working with them. So there's a relatability you have with, they have with other people that are in their shoes. And that's why having events is really important. Having Renee does something fantastic with his clients that are in town. He has a client dinner or lunch where he invites 2 or 3 clients that are in town, and they can socially talk and also talk about business. The power of your clients being in the same room and all of them working with you is, I mean, that's a huge tool that all of us should be using. I know we're coming at the end of the high season, so we may not be working with 2 or 3, 4 clients in any given week, but if you are, it's a great idea that you can leverage one day, 2 hours, and get more than one of your clients together. So Bryce, you and I were talking about friends and family visiting, but when our clients visit, because you're also going to have past clients that close deals. So when they're in town, you can invite them to it. So the power of being able to do that, imagine if you have a client that bought in Cuatro Vientos, right? And they already closed on it. And then there's a client that's buying in Rivieri. And you bring them all together for a dinner, a lunch, coffee. And you start talking to each of them. They start talking to each other. And they said, oh, I just bought a $200,000 duplex in Rivieri. $200,000? And they start telling. So it's not you selling. It's your own clients selling your own clients. And it's a great way for us as real estate agents to leverage our past clients, our current clients, and for them to tell the story to each other. Any other questions? Questions? Comments? Anyone that had experience like that where they themselves have achieved sales from past clients or introducing past clients to current clients? No one? No one? It's a great way for us to sell developments like this. I mean, if you have 60% of a phase sold, and if you have interested buyers, but they're like kind of teetering, ask the listing agent, hey, do you have any buyers that have bought that are similar to what my buyer, where they're from, what they do, how long they've been looking, what projects they've looked at, because they can leverage the time and experience of other people that have committed and signed contracts in a property.
Actually, I just remember that I have a client that is coming into town, and she's interested in house number 7.
Mm-hmm.
And she asked me who bought the other one, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, I didn't tell name or anything, but I kind of told her their story, that is some guys that sold their house in the States and they want to come live full-time here. They have a family of 3 kids and everything. And this client was really happy to know who their neighbors are going to be. Because she also has 2 kids.
Right.
She said, well, maybe they can be in the same school or something like that. So that really helped me get her more interested in the development.
Sales is storytelling. So the better you can tell a story, the better you will be at sales. Period. All right. Any questions? No? All right. That's it. Bye for now.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Nick Fong Podcast. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast and the YouTube channel at youtube.com/Ronival Real Estate and follow Nick on Instagram at NickFong_Ronival. Ready to find your Baja dream home? Check out the latest property listings at Ronival.com or findmexicohouses.com. Hasta luego.